concerning an intersection improvement. They have a proposal that they brought forward. What this is the intersection of Division and Cougar roads. Division Street is a county highway, Cougar Road is a city of Lockport street. What they're requesting, they wanted to move forward with signalization of that intersection, and they're hoping to receive STP funds through the governmental aid. They're apply for those, see if they are awarded the money for that. In the meantime, the Phase 1 STP funds are not awarded for Phase 1 engineering. So if in fact we were to move forward on this with an intergovernmental agreement between the city of Lockport and the county, 50% of the Phase 1 engineering would be borne by the county and 50% by the city of Lockport. If then the SCP funds through the governmental aid were awarded to the city, they were going to be the applicant, they were going to be the lead agency on this project, according to this letter. If the money was awarded, then we could move forward with Phase 2 construction, so on and so forth. Now, the maximum that you can receive is 80% funding. Now, there's no guarantee what percent we would get for the other phases of engineering and for construction. But if in fact we receive the maximum amount for the engineering, for the construction, that would be 80%. And according to their request, then we would partner with the city and pay 10%. The city would pay 10%. The letter goes on to say if in fact they are not awarded the STP funds, what they would like to do is continue to move forward, and then the county would be responsible for 50% of the match, and the city would, of course, pick up the 50%. So that is their proposal. There are representatives here this morning from the city of Lockport. If there are any questions from the committee members.
Bruce, you said we wouldn't have any monies from this for Phase 1. What would Phase 1 cost? Well,
Round figures, maybe approximately $150,000. I don't know if the city has any estimates of that at this point.
It would be approximately $150,000.
why don't you come up to the mic, please?
I would anticipate Phase 1 engineering.
State your name.
Oh, Amy Wagner, City of Lockport, Director of Engineering. I would anticipate Phase 1 engineering to be anywhere from 100.
Sorry.
I would anticipate Phase 1 engineering to be anywhere from 100 to 150,000. So the 50% would be 50 to 75,000 for each.
Has there been a traffic study or anything done? What level of service are we talking about at the intersection?
There hasn't been a traffic study done yet. We did traffic analysis back a couple of years ago when we applied for CMAQ funds for the intersection. And there's about 13,000 vehicles a day that go through that intersection. And one leg of the intersection in a 3-hour period is about 1,500 vehicles during the peak 3 hours there. It's very congested and very backed up in the morning and in the afternoon.
This is currently just a stop sign, four-way stop.
Mm-hmm.
I can make a comment about the traffic warrants. We did take intersection traffic count back last fall, and it does meet the warrants for signals at this time. Because we wanted to check on that when we initially started discussing this intersection. So the warrants are meant for signals.
Bruce, do you have a hello? Good morning. Still testing? Nice. Bruce, do you have a timeline on this? And do you have, if they don't get the STP funding, do you have this $500,000 in funding available in your budget?
Okay, the first question, I would anticipate Phase 1 to take approximately a year to 18 months. Then phase 2, which is the actual plan specs, so on and so forth, probably take about the same amount of time. Now, the wild card in that is if there's right-of-way needed, then of course you have to go through the right-of-way negotiations, and that can always hold up a project, as we well know, with all the projects we have. So I would anticipate no sooner than 2.5 years to probably start construction. Does that seem reasonable?
Well, the Will County Governmental League call for STP projects hasn't even been announced yet. They have it every 4 years, and the last one was done in 2010, in the fall of 2010. So I'm anticipating that probably in October this year they'll announce the call for projects, and the applications should be due like around December. We didn't get notified last time until like May that we received the money. Since phase 1 engineering is not paid for as part of STP grant, we could go ahead and move forward with phase 1 engineering now and get that underway. And then if we found out we got the money, it could be, you know, half over with by May if we found out that we got the grant. And yeah, I think a year to a year and a half for phase 1 is logical. I'd say more like 6 months for phase 2 because most of the design is done in phase 1 engineering. The upside of starting phase 1 now is if we find out that we need right-of-way, we can get that accomplished before the call for projects happens or before we're awarded the money. And that would eliminate having to go through that federal aid process for acquiring the needed right-of-way, which would shorten the time period.
I have a question. Matter of fact, it's funny that we're talking about this STP funds because I just got done having a meeting with the Governmental League last week about their expectations, what ours is of them. And they were talking about, Bruce, the amount of dollars that we do get from them every 4 years. So would this be one that would chunk onto our division of the monies that we receive?
When you say us, you mean the county? Because we do have some big projects that...
Right, and they were saying about the amount of dollars that we receive.
No, that will not...
So this is...
that will be separate.
Okay.
That will not diminish the awards that we have for our projects at this time.
Thank you.
Is Division Street the part of the county's highway system, or is it just Cougar?
No, Division is ours, Cougar is the city's.
City.
Mm-hmm. Division is county highway from Brick Street to Cedar Road.
Because what about on the other side of the river now, Division Street?
That's not the county.
That's township.
Yes.
Any further questions? Mark? Well, motion will be in order if you're looking to do this.
Second.
Motion by Goodson, second by Hart. Okay.
To move forward with phase 1.
Yeah, what we would do then, if the committee so chooses to move forward on this project, and we would put an intergovernmental agreement together with the city of Lockport to move forward with, well, that brings up a good question. Do you want to move forward with all the phases or just the phase 1 at this point?
Well, if they want to get it going, let's get it going, yeah.
I mean, we could put the IGA together for everything. Now, independent on whether the STP funds are awarded or not, because what they're asking for, if in fact they do not get the STP funds, would the county still be willing to partner with them on a 50-50 basis? So,
And that was our question if we have the budget for it.
yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
What's the county engineer's
Yeah,
recommendation?
So,
Where's this fall in your list of
Well-
priorities?
at this point in time, I do not have it in our budget, but we have a multitude of projects that are in various phases, and depending on what happens with them, such as right-of-way that can hold it up, that it's very unusual for me to not be able to fund one of our projects.
So we have some flexibility because of some projects may be held up because of right-of-way concerns, et cetera, and maybe that we move in a different direction with some other projects, so we keep moving forward, so we can move the county forward.
That is correct.
Lee?
I just wonder, I mean, at this point then, would we not commit what funds this money might come from? Like, you know, RTA, MFT?
This is on our build will, so this would be an RTA funded project.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move this project forward.
Yes.
You have a question, Don?
1 and 2, or just 1? Or
Is this just for is your motion
Yeah.
for the first phase? or
Phase 1.
Phase 1.
Okay, so at this point in time, we're just going to move forward with an agreement for phase 1 that we would partner.
But here, I have a question. Okay, we keep saying with this phase 1, why are we just doing the whole, I mean, if we do the phase 1 and we're already in it, we're already invested into that, wouldn't we just finish up with this project? I mean, I think this discussion needs to be more.
I would think you'd want to have the whole thing.
The whole thing.
All right.
Well, I agree, we don't,
I don't want to be in for a
It's
penny
very-
and then say the heck with it.
Right.
yeah, it's
started
very
this and then-
unusual for us to do a phase 1 engineering and then mothball it.
Right, we're going to waste all that.
If we're going to
Yeah,
commit
I
to it,
I
then
don't
we
want
want
to do
to.
that. I mean, if we're going to do it, we're going to go,
Okay,
we're
front
going
road.
I,
whoops.
Yes, don't compare that, please.
So,
my only concern is that we don't know whether we're committing to 50% of phase 2 or 10% of phase 2. And so we don't really know dollar-wise what we're committing to
That is correct.
extend that to phase 2.
Mike, did you have
I just say, I think we should commit to both, but we assume that we're committing to 50%. If we get the money, then it's a bonus.
It needs to be done. It sounds like this is something that.
Yeah, in the future,
So we know where we're voting.
I think we should.
eventually, at some point, we will put this into the program. If not with the city of Lockport, the county would take the lead on this if we don't do it now.
if we didn't get the funding this time around, would we have a chance at it maybe at a later date?
Or is it like one of them?
How often does the application come forward? 4
Every
years?
4 years.
Yeah.
So we have to wait
Every
another 4 years to
Oh.
apply.
Is that the leap year thing now? Hopefully we won't get leaked over.
Is this your only project that's going in front of the funding?
We will probably apply for 2. We generally apply for 2. We did last time, we got
But
both
this
of
one
them.
is priority.
Yeah. I think this would be our priority project. The good thing about Will County Governmental League is that if it is a good project and they don't take you, which,
Is it them that picks it, or is it another, I mean, is it?
it's the Governmental League. They have a transportation committee that picks the projects. And, but if they don't, then a lot of times those good projects will get put on an MYB list. And if you're on the list and you move forward with phase 1, you know, you can go in front of the committee and request to be funded. And I've never had problems getting money from Will County Governmental League from anything. So,
All right, I think just to clarify, Lee, you want to restate the motion and Sue,
But
to go
do
forward?
we need to rescind what I said? No,
Just clarify.
Then-
You're going to go forward with the full.
my motion is for the full project.
Good,
Not
I
in
second.
phase 2.
Sue, we're good with that? Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is everybody clear?
That is correct.
Okay. We good?
Okay, it's been approved. We will move forward with.
We gotta, let's make it all.
Okay.
Yeah, all in favor? Aye. Aye, all right.
Okay, we will now move forward with the IGA. City of Lockport, City Council will approve it prior to it going in front of the committee and then to the full county board for approval. Yeah, the earliest would be March.
But your motion took it, like, it won't be active on the committee because they made a motion.
Well, normally we bring it.
You want to bring,
Usually we bring it back to committee.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next resolution is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the County of Will and Northern Illinois Gas Company for reimbursement for relocated facilities along McDonough Street in County Board District 810 using the RTA tax funds. Bruce, I don't know if you want to say a few words on this. This McDonough Street's been on our plate for a little bit of time now. I assume this is just a natural progression of things and
That is
what we need to do out there.
Yeah, with some of our right-of-way take, this is an existing facility that they had pre-existing rights. Because of that, we have to pay for the relocation. If it was in our existing right-of-way, we wouldn't be paying for it. But they had pre-existing rights, therefore we have to pay for the relocation.
Bruce, does this go a little past a library? Was that,
McDonald's.
going west
McDonough Street.
on McDonough?
No.
No, I'm by the old,
Yes. I know what you're going to say. Yeah,
Bruce
it's
is not
just
the
the
one.
J.
Little
Yeah,
jail.
correctional, yes, that's where it terminates.
Okay. We need a motion. Motion by Babbage, second by Moran. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Second resolution. Resolution authorizing approval agreement between the County of Will and Towpath joint venture for the purchase of wetland banking site credits on Wilmington Peatone Road, the structure over the south branch of the Fort Creek. This is located in County Board District 1. We're going to be using RTA tax funds in the amount of $12,000. Essentially, we're buying swampland.
Yeah, we're impacting a small amount of wetland. So because of that, according to the federal rules, we have to compensate because of the wetland. And there aren't any wetlands that we could upgrade in that area, so it's a bank where we put the money into it, and then they use it at various locations. It's small amount, it's 12,000, I don't know how many acres, it's probably a tenth or so of an acre, it doesn't amount that much.
Pretty good stuff, tenth of an acre for 12.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Chunk is right.
Yeah, 0.11. Yeah.
Is that the normal going rate for this?
Yeah.
Wow. Motion would be in order. Moved by Babbage, second by Hart. All in favor?
Aye. Buy car, but a lot cheaper.
Yeah. This is without the alligators too. County engineer discussion. We're down to you now.
We had the public meeting for 143rd Street from State Street to Bell, Phase 1 public meeting. It's not a public hearing. And a lot of people showed up, over 180 people showed up. We are compiling the summary of the comments, and after that, then we're going to make a decision on how we're going to move forward on this project. Probably sometime in early March, we have everything compiled, and then we'll make a decision on how we're going to move forward.
I was not able to make it. I tried, but I did call Steve Ballich, who was there. He did indicate quite a few people were there, well into the hundreds. And I think the number one concern when I talked to him on the phone that evening was the median. So it seems to be the biggest concern from what I gathered from when talking with Steve.
Yeah, and that's what I was told too.
Yeah, so we probably need to work on it.
Yeah, we'll see how the comments
what
come
we'll
out,
do.
how the
Yeah.
summary is of comments, and then we'll go from there. But it's good to see that we had that much of public comment, because there's many times where we have public meetings, and we may have a half a dozen people show up. And you really don't get the comment from the community. And then when we start moving forward, and we start a design, and then we might have
Then you get a
people
lot
come
of
back
comments.
later, and then they say, well, why are you doing this? Well, this was our proposal to begin with, and nobody commented negatively on it, so we moved forward. So it's good to see that we are getting a lot of community involvement.
That's always a good thing. Very good. State's attorney discussion?
And nothing.
Nothing? Okay. Monthly work reports and bill will reports are attached. Are there any questions by committee members? Okay. Reports by committee members. Joe? None?
No, sir.
I just want to say thanks to our staff and our drivers out there. We've had an extraordinary winter up to this point, and I don't know about you, but I'm ready for spring. I think everybody else is too, with all the snow and the cold, and I just, if you put a big thank you out there for all our
Here's
guys.
the guy that's doing it all right there.
Thanks for, you can pass it on to the guys and
Okay.
all the people that are in office out there that we've had an extraordinary winter, as everybody can attest to.
And it continues.
Yeah, and with more snow on the way tonight and into tomorrow and later this week with cold temperatures, I mean, we haven't had winters like this and probably since I was in high school, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, give them a thank you and a shout out to them. I don't have any announcements by the chair. We do, I understand, have an executive session.
Yes, sir.
So a motion being ordered to go into executive session, moved by Babish, second by Ferry. Okay, roll call, please.